it's been almost 2 months since the Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis trade happened. And ever since then, the Lakers have had many ups and most recently, very bad downs. And by the end of this video, we're going to determine if they are actually contenders. But let's start off when Luka made his debut on the 10th of February, where the ups began.
The ups were very, very encouraging.
Yeah.
To the point that like there was a case at that time in the NBA that the Lakers were the only reason saving the NBA ratings. Obviously, the trade being another big factor. But Luka and LeBron coming into it, there were some doubts because of their similar play style, but there was still no question in my mind that they will figure it out, and they figured it out quick. The only issue in the beginning during that time was just Luka being depressed, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
shock.
it is a shock factor, right? But
Especially the way it happened.
yeah, exactly. But Luka Doncic, transitioned and has just made impact plays, whether it be through playmaking or scoring. LeBron off the ball has actually been pretty insane. And Austin Reeves was a concern during the trade because he was on a tear. And we're like, okay, his touches are going to get reduced. But he's still on a tear.
He's still on a tear.
He's still on a tear. And he's shooting so efficient.
So going back to the overall thing, yeah, offensively you touched on it, right? Like the three guys for the most part have been going strong, right? Even up to this moment, we're recording this after the Chicago Bulls buzzer beater loss.
Craziest ending.
The crazy ending of the game. But yeah, like the biggest concern coming into it was two things. You touched on one of it, or you touched on both, but like you touched on one more deeply. I'll go with the Austin Reeves side of things, right? Dude, it doesn't matter. Like the guy could play off ball, the guy could play on ball, right? So those two things, they kind of figured it out. The biggest concern wasn't just those two things, it was the overall defense. And during that stretch, before LeBron got hurt in the Boston game, was what their losing streak-ish kind of started, they were fun to watch defensively, right? Like, listen, they have a lack of elite big man. Jackson Hayes with Luka Doncic has been amazing. It's proving why you give Luka Doncic an athletic big man, rim running big man. He'll get you points. He'll get you the lob threat and everything like that.
A big example of the Dallas boys with Gafford and Lively.
Exactly,
Right?
right?
So offensively, like because of this trade, they're getting the best out of their big man,
Yeah.
Jackson Hayes, and they're getting the best out of the whole team, right? That's what Luka and LeBron have been so impactful.
There's getting a lot of open shots, the matter of fact of the death hitting it. But
Yeah.
going back to the defense, right? At the end of the day, I don't consider a Jackson Hayes an elite rim protector. I don't think he is. So that's where the issues were going to lie. However, they made it work by playing relentless defense, relentless pressure. LeBron was playing like back in the Heat days for a little bit. Obviously, recently, because of the injury, obviously he's a little bit down. Even Luka looked like obviously hella motivated, like crazy motivated. Yes, is Luka a good one-on-one defender, like telling him to guard up one-on-one lockdown? No, he's not. He is a kind of a pylon, and it's even right now watching a couple of games that way. But in terms of the overall team defense aspect of it, he's been fine getting picks, like intercepting the ball, getting the turnover, able to tip the ball here and there to get someone else to get the ball, right? Jared Vanderbilt's healthy. So the relentless pressure defense with Jared Vanderbilt, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron as the big guys, Austin Reeves can guard, right? Luka can be hidden to a certain degree and can get them loose ball, whatever. It was going very well with the ups, and then the win streak that happened. The funny thing enough, when I'm gonna start from Luka's debut game, which they beat the Jazz, they lost to the Jazz, then they lost to the Hornets, and we're like, oh shit.
And after that, they just went off.
That's when they went off, and it's not even like easy opponents either. Like they beat the Clippers twice. In my opinion, the Clippers are my dark horse right now out of the West. Like,
If healthy.
If healthy, they're a team that I'm looking out for. Like, hey, they could get to the finals, right? Especially with how Kawhi is performing at the moment. They beat the Pacers. They beat the Nuggets. They beat the Mavericks. I understand Anthony Davis was not playing at the time, but Kyrie Irving was. They beat the Timberwolves, like I mentioned. They beat the Knicks. I understand Jalen Brunson got hurt, but that was later in the game as well.
Here's the thing.
Now, up to that point was the highs.
And to round that off and transition to the lows, my concern wasn't necessarily perimeter defense because you're getting Jared Vanderbilt back healthy. You have Dorian Finney-Smith, and obviously LeBron's gonna have to like step up, turn back the clock defensively,
And
he did. So in terms of perimeter defense, I felt comfortable with the LA Lakers. It was more interior defense and the rim protection, like you mentioned before. That even when Jackson Hayes is on the court, it's not the greatest, but when he's off, it's like even worse.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously that's a big factor. One thing, good thing that JJ Redick has done is that he's been very creative in terms of he is whoever are the opposing five, he is targeting and singling out who is the guy that we want to shoot the ball, aka who is the guy least likely to make a shot. So they hide Luka on that, and obviously, say it's the Knicks, for example, Brunson's trying to get Luka on him, and obviously, why wouldn't you? Because Brunson's gonna favor in that matchup. So obviously, when the switch happens, Brunson's primary defender and Luka double team Brunson, leaving the said player, let's say the Ben Simmons-esque player, open. And obviously, if he makes it, he makes it. If he misses, he misses. At least their best player is not, beating you.
Yeah, no, that's true, right? So overall, now the lows. And maybe because of that relentless defense, the fatigue is kicked in and it's causing the lows. LeBron ends up getting hurt in the Boston game. So he's out, and he was out until the Bulls lost on the 22nd. So from the span of the 8th to the 22nd, you had no LeBron. In between there, some losses happened when there were not, like, literally no one was playing. Maybe one game, the Nuggets, Austin Reeves went off and they almost
Still
won
an
the
L.
game. But an L, right? After that, they beat the Suns, they beat the Spurs. Obviously, I know their stars are missing, and they beat the Nuggets once again. However, the most recent stretch, losing to a buzzer beater to the Bulls. Should have lost to the Pacers if we're kind of being real late at the end there. Lost to the Magic. You allowed them to score 118 on you, and they're atrocious offensively this year. You allow 146 by the Bulls. So defense definitely became a question mark once again, where we were the biggest concern. Luka has been going off during this whole stretch. Efficiency, maybe not the greatest, but
It's been up and
no,
down.
he's getting his points. He's getting the playmaking ability. Austin Reeves has been going off as well. I'm talking about without the LeBron games here. Even like recently, LeBron hasn't been the greatest, especially in the Pacers game. So this is where JJ Redick did say fatigue, and yes, that should not be an excuse, especially at this point of the year if you want to be a championship team. So that lows are coming at the wrong time, right? They need to flip this around quickly. Now LeBron's healthy, so you got to figure out what's happening there. And then on top of that, it cannot be just a trio show and no one else makes their shots, right? There were moments when the hot stretch was going, Finney Smith was hitting his shots. Gabe Vincent was throwing the Miami Gabe Vincent from a couple of years ago, right? These guys, and then obviously Jackson Hayes with the lob threat. Jackson Hayes was also hurt, so that kind of hindered things a little bit too. So the lows are concerning because this is what we kind of expected from the defense. Now, how much of that is fatigue and how much of that is legit? They're just coming back down to earth now. I will let you answer that right now in a second, but that's just that's where the overall lows are coming, and we have to see how good the
at the end of the day, it's what we expected to happen, right? Like when this trade happened, we're like, okay, these guys are gonna take a hit defensively, and what was inevitable is happening. So no one should be surprised, no one should be shocked. You should be more shocked that they were actually that good defensively in the beginning. But when you're looking at it, their weaknesses are showing, and it's. I guess, in my opinion, it's a good issue to have now. I personally believe the Lakers are going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to fall out of a top 6.
Yeah.
But even though it's so close and so tight, I just firmly believe that.
They should have the top 5, in my opinion, in law.
Yeah, right. Personally, they should be in there. Yeah. So if you're having these issues now, you have time to fix it in time for the playoffs. That's point one. And point two is, maybe this relentless defense is causing fatigue and obviously hindering you right now, but you could regain that injury in playoff time, because the defense they were playing in that stretch is what the type of defense you need in the playoffs. And every team at the end of the day in the playoffs is gonna be relentless, right? You're gonna have to hustle. You may not have at the end of the day, you may not be good, with your footwork or in terms of other defensive abilities, right? Like the defensive skills, right? With quick hands or obviously the ability to steal the ball and all that stuff, right? But one thing doesn't change: hustle and relentlessness and not giving up, right? Even if you get beat, recovering from plays, all that stuff. That's not a skill. That's just all, being persistent. And if they're persistent, we've seen them be persistent and be successful. If I don't see that persistence right now. It could be due to fatigue. It could be due to, I guess, saving legs.
Schedule was also
Yeah.
the bunch of back-to-backs are, yes, I know that you rested certain players, which is why some of those losses
And then,
picked
but
up.
the thing is that, and there's no doubt in my mind that relentlessness is going to come back
Yeah.
during the playoff time.
It got it, right? JJ's got to get
Yeah, like
going for
that's
these
how
guys.
it's gonna work. I think it's gonna be hustle. You guys don't have the skilled defenders, as you know, the thing that Anthony Davis brings, you don't have,
With
right? Because he's gone. So it's gonna be due to relentlessness.
Even like to close the season out, their schedule doesn't get any easier. You got Grizzlies, Rockets, Warriors, Pelicans should be a win. Thunder's under, the best team in probably the league. Mavericks motivated Anthony Davis for that game. You have the Rockets, and then you got the Blazers are not going to be a tough out in the last game of the year. My other concern, though, the last concern I have here before we talk about are they actually contenders or not, is that the amount of times they've given up the lead or got teams into the game. That Pacers game, they were up by a lot. This last recent stretch, the third quarters have been horrendous. They've allowed, even like when we made that video of contender pretender of every playoff or playoff caliber team, that was my main concern then, and it is now. Even this Bulls game, we had the win. It was a 5-point lead.
You had to win.
How do you lose a game in the last 30 seconds? Well, we just witnessed.
It wasn't even the last 30 seconds. It was 5-point lead in the last 10.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's how bad it was.
stuff like that, like taking like plays off, or not even a night off, like taking certain plays off, letting teams back in it, and then putting pressure on yourself. That's not a recipe for success, because you want moments where you could rest these players, then they could sit out and garbage minutes with the other guys.
And to add to that is it puts more pressure on your offense and your shot making, right? We're seeing, like at the end of the day, Luka and LeBron and Reeves, they're going to be the other team's defensive game plan, which means that pressure is going to be on your role players to make, open shots. And you don't want that pressure on them because your defense is just so bad. And obviously the game plan is to get rid of your 2-3 main, I guess, stars at this rate.
Yeah.
And put the pressure on those guys. So that's a bad thing, because it puts pressure offensively, that knowing that like all 5 people on the court, whoever gets the ball needs to make a bucket, right? And number 2, in my opinion, is because, yeah, you brought it up, rest. Like at the end of the year, you don't have the ability to rest players, which means LeBron's at the end of the day, he's playing hard minutes at both ends of the court. Luka's gonna have to play hard minutes both ends of the court. Same with your main starting 5, essentially, with Reeves and Jackson Hayes as well.
Yeah. So the question now is, which is the true Lakers? The stretch, that hot stretch, or this cold stretch? To the point where you argued contender and I did not. And the reasoning, the unpredictability of this is the reason why I said they're not a contender. So the question is, are they actually title contenders? The thing for me is this. If you're looking at the Western Conference alone, I think I will rank them 3rd. Interchangeable with the Warriors when Steph is healthy, 3 and 4. Would you agree that Thunder are better?
I would put the Thunder ahead, yes.
Would you put the Nuggets? I know this it's up and down because they've lost pieces too. But the problem is, if Anthony Davis couldn't really stop Jokic, how the hell is Jackson Hayes in the playoffs going to stop Jokic? Or unless he goes small.
That is true.
And that problem is, no one could stop Jokic. You're right.
No one can stop Jokic.
So I guess the way you're reacting, you're saying it's tight between 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
and then I have my dark horse. I have the Clippers 5, and then you obviously got the teams like the Timberwolves in question. Obviously, the Grizzlies can make some noise, but that's about it. Maybe on their own, but yeah.
There's only one clear team ahead of them, which is the OKC Thunder at this moment in our minds.
And then
then
you go to the East side.
Oh, who cares about the East?
Title, like overall title contender. For sure, the Celtics, right? And then I guess I'll let you decide on the Cavs.
Yeah, Cavs, sure. You gotta give it to them.
Okay,
right?
so then they're 4th on the NBA then, most likely.
Okay, but the East doesn't matter.
Okay.
It just doesn't, because you're not playing the East team to get to the final, are you? No. So Boston and Cavs are a non-factor until one of them makes the NBA Finals, right? And to be a contender, you're looking at teams that could make the final. The Lakers are not going through the Cavs or the Celtics, so that is irrelevant for me at this moment and in terms of the playoff run. The only team I'm looking at right now is biggest concern is the OKC Thunder, and there's obviously reasons why for that. Second biggest one is obviously not even the Nuggets, but Nikola Jokic. Because I think, they could handle Jamal Murray. I think they could handle Aaron Gordon.
Like, let's say...
I think they could do it.
I'm more scared.
It's just Jokic.
I'm more scared of Jokic than I am the Thunder team. And that sounds ridiculous. I get that. Because at the end of the day, the
matchup isn't there.
Yeah.
You don't have the matchup.
Warriors,
to get Jokic.
You can match up by going
You can match
small.
up the Warriors. You can match up with the Thunder, but you can't match up with Jokic. And that's not like anything against you guys. That's just talking about the entire NBA. It's very hard to match up against Nikola Jokic. He is the reason why he's one of the
And
best.
Jamal Murray is also a Laker killer.
Yeah, that's true. But he's the reason why Jokic is one of the best bigs of all time, right? Because he's that goddamn good. The thing with the way I'm going to answer the question if they're a contender or pretender is what I believe in more: the recent stretch or the stretch in the beginning. Like which Lakers am I going to see in the playoffs? And in my mind, I am still leaning on the hot stretch. I don't think it was just a hot streak. I think that's the team will get in the playoffs because one, it's the playoffs, right? That team looked motivated. Right now, I'm seeing a demotivated team. And if there's going to be I don't think there's going to be a demotivated team going to the playoffs at this caliber, right? If the Lakers lose a first round matchup, it's because they're not motivated enough.
Right now, they're not the Grizzlies.
Yeah, if they lose a first round matchup, it's because of their mental side is not good, in my opinion. Because there's no way they should be losing the Grizzlies in the first round. It just makes no sense to me, right? They should dominate. Like, I'm not saying sweep them, right? But they should win that series.
Yeah, no. If I were to pick, I'm still on the pretender side just for this year personally because of the rim protection. At the end of the day, and listen, the rebounding has been up and down. Like, again, it all comes down to the relentless on sides on the both offense and defense. I'm like literally in the direct middle that like I won't be surprised if they get to the finals, but I'm damn sure won't be surprised if they don't get out of the second round, for example. Like, I'll be disappointed if they don't get out of the first round. Second round, because depending on the matchup at the end of the day.
In my opinion, if the Lakers don't win, if the Lakers lose in round one, it's a failure of the season. And I know Giannis is going to hate me for that, but it's a failure of the season.
I mean, at the end of the day, you have LeBron. At the beginning, you had AD. Now you have LeBron and Luka. It's like, it's always going to be a failure.
Yeah, it's a failure.
But overall, that's my thoughts. I guess we got your thoughts.
Yeah.
We'll see how it ends up going. Comment down below. What do you guys think? Which Laker team do you believe in? The beginning, the hot stretch, or this cold stretch? Laker fans, let us know what you guys think overall about this team. Comment down below what other NBA, NHL, or NFL teams you guys would like to talk to us about. Hit the subscribe button and the post notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming episodes and videos in general. Other than that, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.